Hello and welcome guys. So this section we are going to discuss the service manual. So service manual, as you can see here, starts with, so this is the service manual for this purifier, and this is the manual where you will get all the details about the working principle regarding the description of the parts and how we are going to assemble, disassemble, and the checks that are being performed while disassembling or assembling.
To every marine engineer out there, from junior engineer to chief engineer and electrical officer, we all know that earning respect on ship is very important. We all know fast promotions are very important, and we all know that इज्जत कमानी है, promotion चाहिए तो काम आना चाहिए, तो जूते पड़ते हैं, गालियां पड़ती हैं, and for that you need a good mentor. Sometimes we keep finding those mentors on board ship, अगर नहीं मिल रहे तो MNDFLIX है ना, Merchant Navy Decoded has launched a subscription model where you can find more than 30 plus courses with respect to your rank, helping you earn respect on ship. Please enroll on these free trial videos, watch these videos as per rank, and then decide whether you want to invest or not, with a very good flexible payment plan as well. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Mata.
So important manual, service manual. If you can see the contents, separator design, design part, the first section, then you have some technical reference data about the separator. Then important part is this one, assembling, disassembling, and this is the one which you take print out of and study about the purifier disassembly, how we are going to disassembly. So this assembly and disassembly until here is the important part in this purifier. The most important is this third section. Okay, chalo, we will start with the separator design and we'll try to see what all things are important in this manual. So as we are aware, separator design basically refers to what all important parts are there. So the first section here, this is called the process section. We can see the dashed box. Okay, so this box is the process section. Achha, why it is called a process section? Because you can see these are the feed inlet, clean oil outlet, and the clean and the water outlet. So three sections. This is just for balancing. So these are the three hoses that are connected to this section. Okay, hood. Okay, so cover, and then there is this hood. Okay, and in this section only, from the top comes your conditioning water, sealing or conditioning water, and the displacement water, and in comes the feed from this section, out goes the clean oil outlet from this section, and water is discharged here. So basically whole process of purification taking place under this section only. The disc stacks are there, basically the bowl is there, desludging mechanism is taking place in this section. This is the motor section. Okay, so what it writes, feed inlet and outlets are situated on the top of the separator. Liquid is cleaned in the rotating separator bowl inside the frame hood. So inside this frame hood, the bowl is rotating, and inside that the purification process is taking place. So electrical motor is the one which is the driving unit, and it is driving this purifier through the belt transmission, via a belt transmission. Okay, electric motor via belt transmission, and this section is called the drive section. So we can see there is a flat belt which connects this vertical shaft assembly with the motor section. So this is called here a drive section, whereas in Mitsubishi it is called the vertical shaft assembly, vertical horizontal shaft assembly. Now it is called a drive section here, driven by a flat belt transmission. Okay, now important are, so these are the sections. So one section is process section, one is the motor section, one is the drive section, and one is the sensor section. So these sensors are installed here. Okay, like speed sensor is installed in this section near the drive. Speed sensor is monitoring the RPM of the bowl or the drive, and this is the sludge outlet port. So whenever the purifier discharges this, it goes out from this sludge outlet port. If you can recollect, and resemble it from your vessel's design, you will be able to visualize. Okay, now next is overview. We just now explained what all it's saying about the process section, about the flat belt transmission, centrifugal clutch and a vertical spindle. So a vertical shaft and a centrifugal clutch, that is the basically friction pads that we call in that we call in Mitsubishi Purifier, friction pads, na? These are the centrifugal clutches here, through which the driving of the purifier mechanism is taking place. Okay, we will see how the centrifugal clutches are working. Okay, the frame hood contains the processing parts, right? The separator, the inlet and outlet piping. The process liquid is sent into the separator, and the bowl is fitted, through which the bowl rotates at a high speed and the separation takes place. And during dislodge, the complete mechanism is opens and desludging takes place. That is about the separator section. This is the drive section, has been shown separately. You can see the separator bowl is driven with an electric motor here via a belt transmission. So this is the belt. You can see this is the flat belt. The flat belt transmission has a ratio which increases the bowl speed several times compared with the motor speed. So since the motor speed is around 1400 rpm and the bowl speed is around 9000 rpm, it is the belt, flat belt, which converts this speed, transmits this change in speed from the motor side to the bowl side. Okay, then in this section, in the top part of the bearing section, in the vertical spindle, we have got springs. Okay, we have got the compensation springs. You can see this is the compensation spring to reduce the bearing wear and transmit the bowl vibration in radial directions. Okay, radial springs or the compensation spring. In the radial direction, you have got the radial springs. The top bearing of the bowl spindle is having a spring dampening bearing seat. Okay, the bearings on the spindle are lubricated by the oil spray produced by the oil pump mounted on the lower end of the spindle. So in the lower end of this spindle, there is a small oil pump which is used to spray oil inside this casing. Okay, the bearings on the spindle are lubricated by the oil spray produced by the oil pump mounted on the lower end of the spindle. Okay, on this end we have a centrifugal clutch. Okay, that why we use a centrifugal clutch? So centrifugal clutch is basically same as your friction pads or similar in arrangement as friction pads. The purpose is to give the purifier a gentle or smooth acceleration, so the motor will not be overloaded while starting. Okay, prevents the overloading of the belt and motor. That is why we are using a centrifugal clutch. Same like your Mitsubishi purifier mechanism, you have there a centrifugal clutch also. Okay, so and now this is the we have seen the drive section. Now we will see the process section. The process section has got inlet and outlet piping. So we can see here, this is the top part of the hood, frame hood, है ना? This is the top part where you have got the three pipings from where the uncleaned oil or the untreated oil is entering. From this section goes out the cleaned oil, and from the third pipe goes out the water whenever the water drain opens. Okay, this here is the pairing disc. As it is, you can see it's just like a small disc, but for water we have got a pairing tube. So this part, This part here is a pairing tube. Pairing tube is attached with a spring. Okay, the purpose of attaching pairing tube with the spring is that the spring is keeping this pairing tube always stretched towards the inner surface, whereas the water which will come out will always have a tendency to be towards the outside, right, towards the outside. So water spring is keeping it inside, so there can be chances where say there is less water, because this pairing tube is necessary to take out or remove water from the purifier. Say because the interface is not fixed by a gravity disc in this kind of purifier, so the water is always having a tendency to change its position inside this frame hood. If I explain it to you, inside this assembly in the frame hood, the water can always change its position, maybe here, sometimes maybe here, sometimes maybe even here. So if we are not stretching the pairing tube with a spring, there can be chances that the pairing tube is not able to read the water when it is very near close to the shaft. Okay, very close to the shaft. So that is why it is stretched with a spring, so that this spring is always keeping it pulled towards the inside. So even if the water is, so say water is going out from here, if the water is going out, water will always try to push the pairing tubes toward outside, whereas the spring is trying to pull it. Okay, so this will make the equilibrium behind the pairing tube. So that is why always the pairing tube will be inserted in the water, and there cannot be any scenario where this pairing tube is not immersed in water. Okay, or water is not present inside the, if water is present, it is always readable or it is always skimming, okay, through this pairing tube. So that is the pairing tube here. It is pulled with a spring. This is the housing, okay, connection housing, that is the top part of the assembly. So this is what is there in the top part. If we read it through it, the inlet and outlet connection housing for pipe connection, pipe with a pairing disc and pairing tube. Pairing disc and pairing tube pump the cleaned oil. So pairing disc is for pumping out the clean oil, and tube is for pumping out the water whenever you have got a water transducer L-cap trigger, so that in that trigger value, if there is a trigger for the opening of the V5 valve, so V5 will open and the water will be pumped out from this pairing tube. So the same thing that we had studied just now, the pairing tube actually can move radially. Okay, so why? Through the spring. So this is the pairing tube, right? It is pulled by spring. This pairing tube can always move in radial direction. Okay, radially it can move due to the spring. Okay, so this position is not fixed, it can move like this, and due to which it is always in contact with the liquid surface, always in contact with the water surface, if due to the spring force. Okay, under certain operating conditions, the pairing tube radial position can be locked. So if you are doing any emergency operation or something like that, in that case the pairing tube can be locked in position also. Okay, in place by two adjustable screws on the connection housing. So we can see here there is a special location given for, so there is this screw given, so from this screw the pairing tube also can be locked in this position. Okay, pairing disc and tube are located inside the separator board. Inlet and outlet device is held together by the frame hood. Okay, okay, height adjusting rings are there to determine the height of the position of the pairing disc and pairing tube. So whenever we are assembling, this height becomes important. Why? Because it becomes important in Mitsubishi Purifier also. After complete assembly, we are measuring the distance of the spindle from the lock nut. So here also similarly, relative to the bowl, we will always measure the distance from the top, okay, distance of the part from the top. Okay, so that is what it is saying here, ki height of the adjusting rings determine the position of the pairing disc and the pairing tube relative to the bowl. Okay, so that height is also important. Okay, so that is all in this section, guys. In the next section we will study about the separator and its components. Okay,